What if, instead of studying all of these Korean grammar points separately, you could just study this one sentence and learn all of them all at once? What? And we actually made a similar video before, if you remember, with 12 grammar points in one sentence, and you guys liked that one a lot. Many of you were asking for another one, so I made an even longer one this time with even more grammar points. Here are 23 essential Korean grammar points, and you can learn and use all of them in one mega sentence. 12 is already too many. How am I supposed to learn 23 in one video? Wait. Don't worry yet, because here's the sentence and it actually has a lot of great stuff to learn for beginner learners too. Okay, I'll give it a try. 한국어 공부는 많이 할수록 좋기는 하겠지만 매일 똑같은 공부만 하면 지겨울 수 있기 때문에 만약 좀 다른 게 필요하다 싶을 때에는 예를 들어 영화를 보거나 소설이나 웹툰 같은 걸 보는 것도 좋은 것 같아요. We're going to break this down into easy to digest pieces, so definitely keep watching until the end, alright? Oh, we also prepared a page where you can see this sentence broken down in text form so you can review more efficiently. So with that said, back to today's sentence. This sentence is actually quite short considering the fact that it has 23 grammar points in it, and it took me a really long time to come up with it, but I'm happy I did because this will be a very useful video for Korean learners of all levels. And now finally, let's look at all the details together. Okay, let's start studying and deciphering this mega sentence together. The sentence has 5 lines over here, but can be broken down into 4 major parts. The first line is going to be the first portion, the second line, the second part, and the third line, the third part, and the last 2 lines that you see here is going to be the last portion that we will decipher together. Look at the first sentence, and the first portion actually, it's part of the sentence, right? Can be broken down into 한국어 공부는 많이 할수록 좋기는 하겠지만, and it has 5 grammar points that you can study. So let's look at everything word by word. 한국어 공부 is the beginning of the sentence. 한국어 is the Korean language. As you know, 한국 is Korea. 한국어 is the Korean language. 어 is added to many country names to form the language's name. And 공부, you know, 공부하다 is the verb for to study, and you drop 하다, or it's actually the opposite. 공부 is the noun that existed first, and then you add 하다 to form to study. So 공부 is the noun form. So 한국어 공부, Korean studying, learning Korean. 는 is the first grammar point that you will see in Talk to Me in Korean's curriculum level 1, lesson 9. It's the topic marker, as for Korean learning. So it means as for or regarding. So regarding 한국어 공부, so you are setting the tone and like talking about or introducing the topic. 많이 할수록, this is introduced in level 4, lesson 1 of the Talk to Me in Korean essential curriculum. So originally this is 많이 하면 할수록. 많이 하면 할수록. But this 하면 portion can be omitted. 많이 하면 할수록. The more you do, the more so and so. Or 많이 알면 알수록. The more you know, the more so and so. 많이 먹으면 먹을수록. This is how you form that the more sentence structure in Korean. 많이 으면 을수록. And because the verb portion is, or the verb stem portion is repeated, the 하면 part in the middle is often omitted. 많이 하면 할수록 or 많이 할수록 좋기는 하겠지만. So here, so and so 기는 하다 is another very useful grammar point which is covered in level 6, lesson 24 of the curriculum. 기는 하다 is when you emphasize things like I do know that, or I did do that, or I am hungry so and so. When you emphasize the fact that you are or you did do something, but then you follow it up with another contrasting fact or element. So 좋기는 해요. Maybe you could have ended the sentence there, but it would be, not a mega sentence, right? 한국어 공부는 많이 할수록 좋기는 해요. It is good. The more you study Korean, it is the better, right? 좋기는 하겠지만, of course, when you want to extend a sentence for the purpose of studying or practicing, you want to add a lot of buts or howevers or ands, therefores, right? And this is exactly what I did with this here. And here we have another grammar point that you can see right here, cat. Cat is introduced in level 6, lesson 16. Cat is when you talk about your assumption about something, or when you are saying that, oh, maybe it should be like that. So cat, 좋기는 하겠지만. I often tell people that you can, if you want to remember cat, I guess meaning, you can link it with like guess, it's, if you look at the meaning of the word guess and 하겠어요, when you look at this suffix, they're sometimes quite similar. So kind of like that. So I guess it would be good. The more you study, the better. This is easier than get or 하면 할수록, right? This means but. So far over here, we have with the Korean language, as for the Korean language, the more you study, the better, I guess, of course, but. Okay, that's the first portion. Shall we move on to the next one? So this is the second portion that we're going to study together. 매일 똑같은 공부만 하면 지겨울 수 있기 때문에 maybe we can divide it into two portions like this. 매일 똑같은 공부만 하면 지겨울 수 있기 때문에. Another 5 grammar points over here. Let's study together. So the first word is 매일. 매일 means every day. Every day, 매일. It's a Sino-Korean word. By Sino-Korean, I mean it's based on Hanja characters or Chinese characters, and there are many native Korean words that you can also find as equivalents for the Sino-Korean words that you learn. Like whichever word or version that you get to learn first, maybe there's another equivalent in the other version. Like Sino-Korean word first, maybe you can look up the native Korean version for it. So for example, 매일, every day, 날마다 is the Sino-Korean word. And often in colloquial Korean, spoken Korean, the Sino-Korean words are more commonly used than the Sino-Korean equivalents. And that's that. And 똑같은, the next grammar point is exactly this. So when you have a verb, a descriptive verb, you can drop, so for example, 똑같다. By the way, 같다 is to be the same in itself. 똑 just emphasizes how exactly the same something is to someone else, something else, right? So 똑같다. So you drop 같다 and then add 똑같은, and then you have the adjective form. And that is why 똑같은, we say, please pardon my poor handwriting, I'm doing my best. So that is why we say that Korean verbs are all, or adjectives are all Korean descriptive verbs in essence, and then you modify or conjugate it into the adjective form. So 똑같다 is the verb, to be the same, and 똑같은 is the adjective, the same. So 똑같은 공부 is the same kind of studying. man was in level 2, lesson 15. It means only, a fairly easy grammar point. And then this is another easy grammar point. 하다 is to do, and 하면, when you add this 면, this means if, right? So if you do the same kind of studying every day, and then you see the result. When you have like if so-and-so, you see then so-and-so. The result will be, the effect will be 지겨울 수 있기 때문에, 지겨울 수 있기 때문에. So here, 지겹다 is to be tedious, to be boring. It could be a grammar point. It is a grammar point, but I didn't count it. It's the P of irregular verb. But anyway, 지겨울 수, 을 수 있다 is the grammar point that I wanted to emphasize. 을 수 있다. Let me actually rewrite that. 을, poor handwriting, 있다. What is even this? Is this 를 or 일? 을 수 있다. It means to be able to do, or like when you want to say can do something, you can use this grammar point. But also when something is possible to happen, you also use this. Similar to the English usage of can, right? So it can be, it could be tedious, and then 기 때문에. So because, so and so. 내일 일요일이기 때문에, because it is Sunday tomorrow. 오늘 덥기 때문에, because it is hot today. So you can say because using this 기 때문에. All right? So far we've covered 10 grammar points already. Already 10? And the next line has these words. 만약 좀 다른 게 필요하다 싶을 때에는, maybe we could, I mean, this is just one chunk, but maybe we could divide it into 만약 and 좀 다른 게 and 필요하다 싶을 때에는. Let's see what everything means. So the first word is 만약. 만약 is if. And as I was actually writing this, I found this sentence to be quite interesting because I cleverly wrote, proud self, I guess, praise. So I cleverly wrote this without using the usually used 으면 at the end of the clause. So what I mean is, when you hear 만약, you often hear 으면 at the end, 만약 비가 오면, if it rains, 만약 배가 고프면, if you're hungry, 만약 공부를 열심히 하면, if you study hard, right? That's usually the pair, 만약, 으면. But it can also be used with 을 때는 too. So that's something interesting going on here. So 만약 is if, the starting part of that clause, if clause, and 좀 and 게 are quite interesting and similar over here. It's actually the same kind of grammar point, word contractions. 조금 becomes 좀 in more casual colloquial usage, and 것이's 것 becomes 거. For example, 한국어 공부하는 것. The act of studying Korean, 한국어 공부하는 것 becomes 한국어 공부하는 거 in spoken Korean, in written Korean too, if it's casual. And then imagine adding e at the end, 것이, 거 plus e, 거의, 게. So 게 is the contracted form of 것이. 만약 좀 다른 것이, or 조금 다른 것이 is the original form. Let me write it here. 조금 다른 것이, 다른 것 is a different thing. 조금 다른 거, something a little different. 이 필요하다. So 필요하다, to be necessary. So if something different is necessary, and then the next grammar point is 다 쉽다. Level 10, lesson 13. 다 쉽다 is different from 고 쉽다. 고 싶다 is to want to do something. 공부하고 싶어요, 연습하고 싶어요, 사고 싶어요. You know, you want to study, practice, buy something. But 다 쉽다 is, in this case, feel like. So when you feel like something a little different is necessary, and then you have the grammar point here, 에는. So 때는 is possible. You can omit 에 from here, but 에, this is a location marking particle usually, but this was used as a time marking particle too. So, you know, it's similar. Location or time as a location. 때에는, at times when you feel like you need something slightly different, is the meaning of this clause. Okay? And the next part has 3 grammar points. 예를 들어 영화를 보거나, 예를 들어 영화를 보거나. In itself is a very useful expression, grammar point. 예를 들어, for example. 예 is an example. You can see a lot of topic questions or other types of example passages following this little word, 예시. So 예시 is an example too. 예를 들어 보여주는 거예요. To show, like demonstration. So 예시 or 예. And 들다 is to, in this case, to mention something as an example, as an anecdote, something like that. 예를 들어. The original form is 예를 들어서 말하자면. The longer form is this one. 예를 들어서 말하자면, to speak with an example chosen. To speak with an example selected or mentioned. So all that is just shortened to 예를 들어, or 예를 들어서 is also possible in colloquial speech too. 영화를 보거나, 영화 is a movie를 보다 is to watch, to see, to look, to read, to even take a test or stuff like that. And then drop the 다 at the end, and 거나. This was in Level 6, lesson 18. 거나 is or, but with verbs. You give choices. 거나, 이거 하거나, 안 하거나, 공부를 하거나, 안 하거나, study or not study. 여기에 있거나, 가거나, you stay here or go away. 여기에 있거나, 다음 장에 가거나. Let's move on to the 다음 장. And this is the finale, the last portion. 소설이나 웹툰 같은 걸, so let's break it here. And 보는 것도 좋은 것 같아요. The first word is 소설, a novel. Webtoon, you know, webtoons are quite popular these days, I think. Web cartoons, web comics. So webtoon, 이나. Earlier you saw in the previous slide, you saw 거나 linked verb stem with another verb stem, possibly, which means or. And 이나 is also for or, but with nouns. Objects and stuff like that, people, like 학생이나 선생님, 친구나 가족, 가족이나 친구, alright? So 이나 is or. So 같은 거 is another grammar point that you can use. So when you list things, list examples, it should be not people, it should be like objects. So 같은 거 is a thing. So 같은 거 is like things like. So that's how you can say things like so and so. Things like books, podcasts, courses, videos. So 소설이나 웹툰 같은 걸. Things like novels or webcomics and so on. Okay? So that is 거. And the reason that this is ending with 걸 is because originally it was 것을, and this real portion represents 을, the object marking particle, and 소설이나 웹툰 같은 것 is the object, and what is the verb? 보다. So reading, watching, this is convenient in the Korean language because you can read a book with 보다, you can watch a Netflix show with 보다, you can pretty much do many more things that you do with your eyes with the Korean verb 보다 than with the English verbs, which need to be separated into usages, right? So 보는 것도, so 보는 것 is the act of watching or reading. 도, level 2, lesson 13, easy grammar point. Also, 좋은 것 같아요. The final grammar point that we are going to end this session with. 은 것 같다. I think it's good. So watching or reading a novel or a webcomic, reading webcomics is good, I think, or is good too, I think. That is the last portion. So altogether, we've actually broken down everything into smaller chunks. Let's read everything together and translate it. 한국어 공부는, as for the Korean language, 많이 할수록 the more you do, 좋기는 하겠지만 the better it will certainly be, I guess. 매일, every day, 똑같은 공부만 하면 if you study the same thing or in the same way 지겨울 수 있기 때문에 it could be tedious, it can be boring. 만약 if 좀 다른 게 something a little bit different 필요하다 싶을 때는 in times where you feel like something slightly different is needed 예를 들어 for example 영화를 보거나 watch a movie or 소설이나 웹툰 같은 걸 소설이나 novels or webcomics 같은 걸 things like those 보는 것도 reading those also is a good idea, I think. That's it. Good job. How did I do? All right, now that you know everything in the sentence, let's read the full sentence one last time together. 한국어 공부는 많이 할수록 좋기는 하겠지만 매일 똑같은 공부만 하면 지겨울 수 있기 때문에 만약 좀 다른 게 필요하다 싶을 때에는 예를 들어 영화를 보거나 소설이나 웹툰 같은 걸 보는 것도 좋은 것 같아요. And there you have it, our super efficient sentence with 23 different Korean grammar points in it. Practice saying this, or even better, try memorizing this, and you will master the individual grammar points much faster. If this were a random, totally random sentence with 23 grammar points irrelevant to each other, it would be much harder to remember this, but the flow of this sentence is really great, I think, because even though I wrote it, because you can naturally expect what will come after each element. More, better, tedious, want something different, try other stuff, examples, that's the flow. Like this kind of sentence will be easy to remember even in your native language too. And many of you left comments on our previous video saying that you compared your comprehension between the first time you watched it and a few weeks after. So do the same thing with this video too. Check how hard it is to study the sentence today, and then keep studying with other things too, and check back in a few weeks or even months. You will be impressed by how much you have improved. And remember, learning a new language is all about enjoying the process. So keep learning and let us know in the comments what kind of content you would like to see here next, or what kind of content you would enjoy on our channel next, okay? And if you want to continue studying with our full systematic curriculum, I will be waiting for you at talktomeinkorean.com. That's our website. I'll see you there. 안녕히 계세요.